Today, 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 we have some friends with us. Check these cuties out. Two caterpillar worm things. So let me tell you the story of these. We're just going to call them very hungry caterpillars. um, so as I'm telling this, I'm going to pull three cards, by the way. We're going to do a you could think of it as a release reading, a letting go, letting in reading. I also am thinking of it more as like a, oh, there's some cards. Okay, these two want to come out. I'm just not confident in that. Okay, so let me finish, and then I will pull the cards. Okay, we're going to do I'm calling it a transformation reading in this setting because of the caterpillars. There's going to be three cards I'm going to pull. And card one is going to be what you're being asked to release, to let go of, in order to allow yourself to transform more. Card two is what you're being asked to maintain about yourself or your life. And then card three is what you're being asked to move towards. Okay, so I'm gonna now shuffle with the intention of pulling those cards as I tell you a little bit about these very hungry caterpillars that have inspired this reading. And then P.S. if I'm feeling called, we might do some clarifiers with this smaller everyday tarot deck. Okay, so that's my plan. Let's talk a little bit about these caterpillars. So my husband and I have these kale plants in our sun porch, and like 2 days ago we come home and this plant looks like this, like all the leaves are completely gone, and we are like, what is happening? We figured it was an insect, but we could not figure out what was going on. Card one, please. Because we couldn't see anything, right? Because look at these little guys. They like blend in perfectly with this plant right on the stem, right? Then yesterday, my husband finally spotted one of the caterpillars. And it was crazy because we were like, holy cow, how is it eating that much, right? So it turns out there was two, and maybe more, but still, I've been just like blown away. So we decided we were just going to let these caterpillars, this was now their plants. My husband and I, this is just our second year gardening, and we're very terrible at it. There's card one. We're very terrible at it. Card two. And but what we're good at is we're thinking of it more as like experimental. We want gardening to be a part of our life from here on out. And so, we're just thinking of it more in experimental basis. So here we have cards. Card one is Two of Swords in reverse. Card two is King of Cups in reverse. And card three is Death in reverse. Okay, so let me finish these caterpillar stories. So we are terrible gardeners. We're in year 2 of gardening, but we want it to be like part of our life forever. So we're just allowing ourselves to experiment, learn kind of organically and naturally. And we know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we're going to be much better at this. So these caterpillars show up and we're like, okay, we're going to release these potted kale plants and let these caterpillars have them because we're so intrigued by them. First and foremost, because they eat so much. We could not believe that these little beings are like eating all of these leaves. Like, it was mind-blowing. Then we look at the table, and not to be too like gross, but their poop is everywhere. And even if you look here, like, you may have even seen it poop on camera. Like, they're just like pooping constantly. And so I'm like just so intrigued because I'm like, oh my God, they're prepping for this massive transformation. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know if we're going to be lucky enough to like if they're going to use these plants for their chrysalis, cocoon, whatever you call it, depending on, I think, the type of caterpillar it is. But I was like, I just kept being kind of amazed by these caterpillars. And I think I felt like they wanted to be captured, / I wanted to capture them in this stage of like, it's kind of the messy stage, right? Like they are just eating and pooping and resting. Do you know what I mean? And it's like a massive amount. And I just think it's like a good metaphor of the amount of energy it takes to truly transform. And the amount of like consumption slash digestion. Do you know what I mean? And I mean more like with ideas and things of that nature. Like it is a massive, massive process. And it's just so interesting to witness these two little cuties, these two little beings prepping for the biggest transformation of their life. And they know they have to prepare for it. Do you know what I mean? And so I just feel like there's so many lessons here. And I hope you're feeling there, or I hope it just felt like they wanted to be like a part of this reading. And I hope they're like bringing you insight and joy in the same way they have for my husband and I the last few days. And they're just like so sweet. Like, I don't know if you just saw that little head move. I just feel like they're just such sweeties. So, okay, enough about the caterpillars, but they are a huge part of this reading as we are intending to get information for you on what you're being asked to do to transform. And by what you're being asked to do, I mean like literally, or not literally, but like specifically what you're being asked to let go of, what you're being asked to maintain, and what you're being asked to move towards. And now this is a very interesting reading, isn't it? We've got Two of Swords as what you're being asked to let go of in reverse. King of Cups in reverse as to what you're being asked to maintain, and Death as what you're being asked to move towards. So let's just start with the Death card here, and I am going to get clarifiers. So let's get clarifiers working our way back, Spirit. So 3, 2, 1 here. So the Death card, like, it can be scary to be like, what, I'm being asked to move towards death. But I think that that's actually a really, really beautiful thing. If you've listened to my readings before, you know that I feel the Death card is one of the most beautiful cards in the deck, especially when we're talking about transformation. Because like, think about it, these little guys, they like have to be willing to completely die to this form in order to move towards their transformation, right? Which is a completely different, beautiful form. Now, like, let's think about this. That's actually very interesting that is what would show up when we have these caterpillars here, right? Because they're not in a chrysalis or cocoon yet. They're not breaking out. They're being asked, just as you are, it seems here, to move towards the letting go of a current form. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm like sort of blown away because that's exactly like what they're being asked to do right now, or what they're symbolizing even, is to move towards like their cocoon, right? To move towards their cocoon. So cool. Okay, so clarifier for Death, please. Here it is. Five of Wands in reverse. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right, I'm going to clarify for card 2, King of Wands upright. And then a clarifier for card 1. And then so I just wanted, we're going to get the whole story of this reading, but I just wanted to mention that because, so just to soothe any fears of the Death card, that it really, especially in this reading, again, with these caterpillars, it really is such a beautiful request. Clarifier for card 2, please. There it is. Actually, it's just one under here. The Fool. Okay. Beautiful. Let me take a moment with these cards. Okay, so first things first, I read reversals intuitively, and especially as I kind of get the whole essence of the story that starts to come through, it becomes more clear whether the reversals are accurate or not. And for this reading, I think everything is upright, especially because I was drawn to the Death card first, and that was upright. That's not always how I like figure out if they're upright or not. But it just felt the story is coming through pretty clearly with them being upright. So we're going to go with that intuitive hit, and I'll let you know what's coming through. Okay. Move these away from the leaf a little bit so you're able to see them if you are tuning in and watching and not just listening. It's a beautiful spread, isn't it? Okay. Here we go. So this is a really cool story that's coming through. So we asked for information about what you're being asked to let go of at the time you view this reading, what you're being asked to maintain, and what you're being asked by Spirit to move towards in order to, we could say, ensure your transformation or further your transformation towards better. And the first thing that shows up is the Two of Swords and the Fool. So this is in the position of what you're being asked to let go of. And I think it makes a lot of sense. So the Two of Swords is, I think of it as like a sort of indecision card, or the fear of holding the sword of choice. Okay, so there's like like in the standard imagery of it, there's a person who I believe is blindfolded, and she's like turned away from the ocean or something big, and she's got two swords that are like at a cross over her chest. And swords in the tarot, typically when they are upright, it's a very like clear-cut, beautiful embodiment of swords. Swords when they're like sideways or horizontal, usually that means some sort of chaos or resistance. And the way that speaks to me in the Two of Swords is just like the resistance to hold the sword of choice. So it's almost like this, like, I don't want to be the one to make decisions. So there's indecision, there's a resisting of your power to a certain extent. And I think by it being clarified by the Fool, it seems like, you know, because with all cards in the tarot, there can be positive and negative. They can be positively aspected and negatively aspect. So there's beautiful energy in the Fool. There's like there can be a lot of beauty in the Fool. But in the position of it being asked, card one, you're being asked to let go of this. Also, it's clarifying the Two of Swords. I think what it's saying is that when you have this indecision constantly, or even not constantly, but consistently, there's this wavering energy that's causing you always to have to like start over, but not in a beautiful sense, right? Because the Fool is the first card in the major arcana. It's card 0. The beauty of the Fool is like new opportunities, new beginnings, new unfoldings. And like it's called the Fool because you have to have beginner's mind in order to embark on anything new and beautiful, right? But when it's negatively aspected, it is the Fool. Do you know what I mean? It's like new beginnings, but not for a powerful purpose. And as I speak that out, I guess that's something interesting to think about, because it's like you're being asked to move towards the Death card, not new beginnings. So there seems to be something here where you're trying to have a transformation by like forcing new beginnings, when you're actually being asked to lay things down in order to allow a natural new beginning. And a part of that is realizing that maybe a lot of this is happening unconsciously, because the Two of Swords is what's showing up as the main thing to let go of. This idea that you might be unconsciously resisting your power of choice, your sword of choice, causing this wavering, causing this like false start slash new beginnings, but not for a purpose. You know, new things happening maybe, but not for a powerful purpose. And so there's a very interesting request here from Spirit, and that is to move towards the transformation you truly desire, that is of highest good for you and all. It looks like a willingness to lay down that wavering slash trying to have new beginnings, and to move towards the willingness to die to this current form. So let's talk about this. Now, this is beautiful. This is what you're being asked to maintain. And I love that, because like let's talk about these caterpillars again. Of course, they're being asked to die to a particular form, right? They're never gonna, once they decide to go in their chrysalis. P.S. Please do not like. I'm not a science teacher here. I really don't know the proper words, but we're just using the caterpillars as a metaphor. So hopefully you understand. I don't know if they go into a cocoon or a chrysalis. I don't know what type of caterpillar they are. I don't know anything about them except for that I've been really enjoying observing them, and I love the metaphor that they stand for. So with that being said, you know, they're going to have to die to this form, and they're going to go through this huge metamorphosis where this body is going to, I believe it like, it goes into like a goo, right? So they don't like sprout wings from their current body. They like in their chrysalis go down into a goo. And then from there, they create a completely different being, okay? And that goo is still them. Like it's made up of the contents of them, right? So in any transformation, sometimes it's nice to know what we're being asked to maintain even as we die to a previous form. And this is really so beautiful. So like, look at this, the King of Cups and the King of Wands. So you're being asked to maintain your leadership qualities, your visionary qualities, your emotional strength, your emotional capacity, your emotional intelligence, and in a very like masculine way, which is beautiful. So even if you're somebody who identifies more as a feminine creature, that doesn't mean you don't also like hold, or you don't also express masculine tendencies, right? So regardless of how you identify, you're being asked to be very bold and brave and assertive in these qualities and to maintain that aspect of yourself. King of Cups, King of Wands. So King of Cups, again, King being masculine, Cups being representing emotions, and in this case, emotional strength, right? So King of Wands, again, masculine, wands representing passion, fire, vision, creativity. So there's definitely leadership qualities in you that you are being asked to recognize and maintain as you go through this powerful transformation. Now, as I say all that, I am feeling called to grab another deck. It is the Masculine Archetype deck. And so I'm going to just pull one card as a clarifier for these King of Cups and King of Wands. So we're just going to go one level deeper with this masculine energy. So what is the viewer being asked to maintain in terms of their beautiful masculine energy with emotional strength? There it is. And their creativity. So returning home. So in this deck, in this masculine archetype deck, there are 5 different archetypes that have different sub-archetypes, but then there's also cards that represent the hero's journey. And this is one of those hero's journey cards, which is returning home. So let's find it and read about it here. Returning home. The road home brings the hero back to the ordinary world. If the hero hasn't fully reconciled with the challenges of his quest, the troubles might persist. The hero should take heed to make amends or tie up any loose ends before returning home. Otherwise, danger might follow. A sense of loss can accompany the act of return home. The hero might not be able to return to such magic lands or ever be described to his loved ones, or ever be able to describe to his loved ones what he experienced. Some tools that serve the hero along the road may also have to be left behind. It can be a moment of reckoning and adjustment back to the ordinary world. This stage can feel like the sadness of moving to another city, knowing you can never come back, or you are trying to settle back into the stress of everyday life after traveling abroad. Re-entry is a strange transition. When you find yourself at this stage, ask yourself what has changed. How will you be able to take what you've learned back into everyday life? Is there anything you should leave behind that has helped you succeed at your goals? Is there anything you should leave behind that helped you succeed at your goals? What obstacles might be between you and integrating this change? Wow, so that's really beautiful. So I don't think this is like a literal call to like your hometown or staying where you having to stay where you are or anything like that. I think it's a card of integration. And I think because this is showing up in what you're being asked to maintain, it seems like you already have been doing this, or you are good at doing this, or something along those lines. So what am I trying to say? It's like you are integrating these very powerful energies, the King of Cups and King of Wands, in your life. And you have been like kind of sorting that out as you go. Like as you become more of a visionary and leader in your own life, as you embody more emotional strength, that changes things in your everyday life. And you're having to like renegotiate things with current relationships. And you're also like learning so much, and you're having to figure out, how do I translate that to helping other people and serving? And so it seems like you've already been like wrestling with this, for lack of a better way of like of saying it, and you're being asked to continue to do that, because this integration is a big part. Your willingness to integrate is a big part of this transformation that you're undergoing. So that's really beautiful. And then finally, let's come back to this Death card and the Five of Wands. So you're being asked to move towards death. And so again, I don't think there's any need to think of that in a scary way. I think it's just like, again, sort of blowing me away that this Death card shows up in position 3 in a reading where we have caterpillars, because I think there's no better metaphor for, you know, even if the caterpillars weren't here, if this was the spread I did and death shows up here, I think that's like the perfect metaphor for it, that you're being asked to move towards and prepare for a death of a current form, just like these caterpillars are doing. They're preparing to go into their chrysalis or their cocoon, right? And so they're currently, as we speak, moving towards this. And so it's clarified by the Five of Wands, and I think that's really, really beautiful, because what are you being asked to allow to die? And it's competition, it's conflict, and of course, conflict can be really healthy, and competition can be really healthy. So this is clearly like the toxic versions of that. And I wonder if there's something here about like, so we start off with the Two of Swords, this unconscious, like not holding your sword of choice, causing like these false starts / new beginnings for no purpose. I wonder if it's because it's like it's hard to truly start to lay down these toxic ways of being, right? It can be easier to try to like find other solutions, quote unquote. But when we really are asked to lay down the negative sense of competition and conflict, and by lay it down, I don't mean like it's a one-time thing. I of course, it's a process and ongoing, but hopefully you understand what I mean. I think sometimes we can use this energy, what you're being asked to let go of, to avoid the complicated and like difficult process of actually releasing toxicity in relationship dynamics, so on and so forth. And I almost wonder if this returning home card, it almost feels like it's clarifying just like this section, what you're being asked to maintain and move towards, because it's like this really like, it's such a grounded card. That's the energy it's giving me in this reading, compared to like this, right? Like in this reading, the Fool and Two of Swords just kind of feel chaotic, right? And like, he's not even looking forward, which is interesting in this representation of the Fool. Like he's looking backwards, right? And what you're really being asked, look at how this card is moving forward, but it's very integrated and very grounded. And so I think there's something here about this being a really step-by-step process, grounded process, slower than you think it should be processed, but that doesn't mean you're failing at it. It's just like, it's a process. And laying down this more kind of like, the word jovial came to me, but like not in a positive sense, like this, like, it's just like a chaotic, disassociated, jovial energy to this more grounded sense. And as I say that, I don't mean to like call you out as like, in any way, like, oh, you've been so disassociated and not grounded. I think that when we're being asked to let go of things, it's usually things that aren't that obvious, that are more like, oh God, I didn't even realize I was doing it. There's a subtlety to them. And so I think like this is more like an unconscious in your energy field, if you're willing to become a bit more aware of it and baby step by baby step choose this more integrated, grounded approach than like this like I'm just getting the sense that there's times on your journey where you might get a little uncomfortable, and then you try to like, it's almost like this unconscious disassociation, and you try to like almost like toxically bypass or use like toxic positivity or something to bypass what really needs to be dealt with. And I am getting the sense that there's a lot of areas of your life that you don't do that, and you're practiced in, like, clearly you're practiced in not doing that as well, because you've got the King of Cups and the King of Wands as what to maintain, right? So it's almost like just like you're being asked to keep practicing that more to catch this energy, the Two of Swords and the Fool, in more subtle and subtle stages. And as you catch it, release it, and instead turn your attention and energetic focus to this, again, more integrated approach, more grounded approach, mature, strong. There's like just this incredible like results and rewards that are waiting for you, which is interesting, right? Because a lot of times we almost think unconsciously, I think that like, oh, I want the big flashy results. That's kind of like what this energy is giving me, right? Like, even if you don't know you're doing that consciously, or that you even think you want that, I think I'll just speak from my own experience. It's hard to trust this more subtle, like not flashy, step by step. Like, I mean, I guess this like card does a really good job of displaying it. Like, just integrated energy will get you what you truly want. But I think that's a huge part of this reading that wants to be spoken out, if it resonates, is that as you're willing more and more to trust that more grounded, slow approach, it is what will actually transform and open up the things that you truly, truly desire. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hearing about my little caterpillar friends and witnessing them with me. I'm truly honored to read for you, and truly honored that to read for you at this like really beautiful time in your journey, like just like these caterpillars, like witnessing at them at the stage where they're preparing for something big, and it's a cocooning, and it's a shedding layers of past forms for a really, really beautiful purpose. So I'm thinking of you during this time, sending you lots of love, and once again, thank you for being with me today.